he has maybe that Bush doctrine when it comes to immigration reform, but that's sort of an underhanded thing, because that's a pro-business approach. A lot of businesses enjoy cheap labor. They like employing undocumented people, day laborers, and this program where you can work basically for menial wages and then you can go back across the border. That's the immigration reform that I think the Republican Party supports.
It's also interesting how this Republican candidate, and he is a Republican candidate, is portraying the Republican platform. It is less government, but I don't think it's about less government. I think that what they're trying to sell is a different type of government. I think that the administration of George Bush increased the size of government, particularly as it referred to law and order. I think that they want to put more government on the border. They want to remove government perhaps from social services that are seen as helping a segment of the population that the Republican Party doesn't feel that they will be able to represent.
Well, we'll get into that in the next bit of interview, because I specifically asked him about less government where? About what? Under what circumstances?
And I want to add, the Bush administration also increased the size of government when it came to faith-based initiatives also.
Yes.
Which is
well, as we know, that part of it appears anyway, the part of the Tea Party revolt, as it were, against the Republican Party, to the extent that it also is against the Republican Party, is the feeling that the Republicans sold out on this position, that what we really need is much less government, much fewer taxes and much lower taxes, and getting rid of a lot of government.
But they haven't defined the platform themselves, because when you ask members of the Tea Party whether they support Social Security and Medicare, they all say yes. And that's a big government program that was opposed by the Republican Party, initially. Obviously, nobody will reverse it nowadays, but that's a good example of how they contradict themselves.
Well, there certainly has been, post the September of '08 crash, you haven't heard too much talk about privatizing Social Security.
No.
That seemed to have just completely disappeared.
Dissolved, yes.
But again, is he able to sort of mix and match his positions enough to possibly gather some steam, being a man of the cloth, a man who has served out on the street, the hungry, the homeless, the people with AIDS at that era that nobody wanted to touch and be with, who talks about small business, who is against racial profiling, who supports some kind of serious immigration reform? Is there enough there?
I think he's trying to articulate a compassionate conservatism, but not call it that, because obviously that fizzled out after September 11th as well. So I think he wants to promote a different phase of the Republican Party in a place that is not amenable necessarily to the Republican Party, whether national or statewide, but I don't think he will be able to convince many constituents.